In 1878, nearly 300 Northern Cheyenne men, women, and children did something almost impossible. They escaped from a reservation prison, outran the U.S. Army across 4 states, and launched one of the greatest survival journeys in American history. For generations, the Northern Cheyenne had lived across the northern Great Plains, hunting buffalo and following a way of life deeply connected to the land. But by the late 1870s, everything had changed. The buffalo herds were disappearing. The U.S. government was forcing Native nations onto reservations. Following the Great Sioux War, many Northern Cheyenne bands surrendered, hoping for peace and survival. Instead, they were sent far from their homeland. In 1877, the government relocated the Northern Cheyenne from their northern territories in present-day Montana and Wyoming to the Southern Cheyenne and Arapaho Reservation in Indian Territory, now Oklahoma. The move quickly became a disaster. The climate was hotter than anything they had known. Disease spread rapidly through the camps, food was scarce, water was often unsafe. Malaria and other illnesses killed many people. Families watched loved ones die. The Northern Cheyenne repeatedly begged federal officials for permission to return north. Again and again, they were refused. As conditions worsened, their leaders realized they faced a terrible choice: stay and slowly perish, or risk everything trying to get home. In September 1878, 2 respected leaders, Dull Knife and Little Wolf, made their decision. Under the cover of darkness, nearly 300 Northern Cheyenne slipped away from the reservation and began heading north. Their goal was simple: reach their homeland. The U.S. government immediately viewed the departure as an uprising. Army units were dispatched across the region. Soon, thousands of soldiers, scouts, lawmen, and civilian volunteers were searching for them. The Northern Cheyenne were now being hunted. The journey became a desperate race for survival. Traveling through present-day Oklahoma, Kansas, Nebraska, and toward Wyoming and Montana, the Cheyenne moved quickly, often covering remarkable distances. They were not an army marching to war. They were families trying to stay alive. Women carried children. Elders struggled to keep pace. Food was constantly running low, yet they refused to surrender. Several times, soldiers caught up to them. When confronted, the Cheyenne fought fiercely to protect their people. Small battles erupted across the plains. Despite being outnumbered and exhausted, the Northern Cheyenne repeatedly broke through military attempts to stop them. Newspapers across the country began following the story. Many Americans were shocked to learn why the Cheyenne had fled. Reports described the terrible conditions they had endured in Oklahoma. Public sympathy slowly began to grow. But the danger was far from over. As winter approached, the group split. Little Wolf led one band northwest toward Montana. Dull Knife led another group seeking refuge and safety. The separation would lead to very different outcomes. Little Wolf's band continued its remarkable journey. Using deep knowledge of the land, they avoided capture again and again. Despite hunger, freezing temperatures, and constant pursuit, they pushed forward. Eventually, many of Little Wolf's followers succeeded in reaching Montana. Their determination had carried them home. Dull Knife's band was less fortunate. His group eventually surrendered near Fort Robinson in Nebraska after being promised humane treatment. Instead, military authorities attempted to force them back to Oklahoma. The Cheyenne refused. They would rather die than return. Soldiers locked them in barracks without food, heat, or adequate water, hoping starvation and exposure would break their will. It did not. On the night of January 9, 1879, the imprisoned Cheyenne made a desperate escape attempt. Men, women, and children rushed into the darkness while soldiers opened fire. Many were killed. Others froze or were hunted down across the surrounding countryside. The tragedy became known as the Fort Robinson Massacre. Yet even after unimaginable losses, survivors continued seeking freedom. The Northern Cheyenne's determination could not be erased. Their courage eventually influenced government policy. Public pressure grew, and officials gradually recognized that forcing the Northern Cheyenne to remain in Oklahoma had been a mistake. In the years that followed, a permanent homeland was established for the Northern Cheyenne in southeastern Montana. Today, the Northern Cheyenne Reservation still exists there. The Northern Cheyenne Exodus remains one of the most extraordinary journeys in Native American history. Nearly 300 people chose hope over despair. They crossed hundreds of miles while pursued by one of the most powerful governments in the world. Many never made it home, but their courage ensured that future generations would. Their story is not simply about escape. It is about love for homeland, devotion to family, and the refusal to surrender one's identity even in the face of overwhelming odds. The Northern Cheyenne risked everything for the right to live where their ancestors had lived before them, and because of their sacrifice, their people endure today. If this story moved you, please like, comment, and share it so more people can learn about the Northern Cheyenne Exodus. Follow this page for more true Native American history stories that deserve to be remembered, honored, and passed on to future generations.